Captain America 4 is coming. What could it be? Welcome, everybody, to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. So happy to be with a comic expert, my man Mike over at Rogue Comics. What's up, Mike?
What's up, Andy?
So happy to have you. Mike's in the store, and I pulled him from the store to help break down this breaking news because Captain America 4 is now in the works with Falcon and the Winter Soldier showrunner Malcolm Spellman. Now, they don't have too many details. I'm going to show you what we do have, and then I wanted to bring in Mike because I want to know, where could they go? What are the comic lines out there that we could borrow from to continue this plot? So again, this isn't like confirmed by Marvel, but it's coming in from Hollywood Reporter. It seems like a legit trade, and now the other trades have carried it as well. But they're saying that Malcolm Spellman, who did the show running for the series Falcon and Winter Soldier, will pen the script with Dalan Musson, who's a staff writer on the show, and this will be a film, is what the plan is. Now, we don't know which Captain America will be in it, but we can only assume, given what he did. Spoiler alert, I'm about to show the suit. If you haven't yet watched it, apologies, it was in the thumbnail, so kill me. But there's the suit in question, which I thought, before we get to this, I liked the suit, man. It was pretty comic accurate. Mike, what did you think of them bringing this to life?
Yeah, it really looked good. It really is comic book accurate, too. Truly.
I mean, and the CGI looked real. Like when he showed up and it finally the wings sprawled out. Look, I had issues with the fact that how is he gonna? He got his ass beat a couple times, but aside from that, which is hopefully we deal with that from the look and from the practical, it didn't seem fake or it was a cool looking suit. I got to give it props. So good on the team for pulling that off. But the details here are pretty scarce. Just that the showrunner and the writer are working on it. No casting is known. But obviously this last episode, which we're going to speculate and talk a bit about, if you haven't yet seen it, maybe come back. But the other thing that I want to mention is that the fact that there was a report recently as well that Chris Evans was also eyeing a return to play Captain America again for some role in a future Marvel project. Now, my sources told me that this was more akin to the Tony Stark role in Spider-Man, that this would be some more of a supporting role in sort of showing up in other pieces. And there's even talk of him doing other characters and other multiverse things potentially. So what this means, TBD. Now, Chris Evans has denied it, as has Kevin Feige, but that's just potentially a non-answer because they want to keep the secrets going. But is he coming back for a straight Captain America movie? I'd be shocked. Could he come back for a cameo or a smaller role in that? Yeah, but I that's not what I'm hearing. This would be, from what I gather, this Captain America 4, from everybody else in the trades as well, this would be a Sam Wilson Captain America movie. Before I go to you, Mike, and sort of talk about where this could go, that this is what they're all saying. It likely continue the story of Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie, current wielder of the shield. But as writers get to work, it'll be interesting to see how the story unfolds. Now that there are multiple people who have been Captain Americas in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Could U.S. Agent come back? Would Bucky come back? What's also curious is they at the end of the show, they call it, they actually called it Captain America and the Winter Soldier when the show is over on the screen, which I thought was great. But I was curious, Mike, because you're a bigger comic expert than I, and you can hopefully leave it. Winter Soldier, does Bucky remain named the Winter Soldier after things, or because he becomes White Wolf? Doesn't he want to not be the Winter Soldier anymore? Is it odd that they still are calling him the Winter Soldier? How does that work in the comics?
Well, yeah, that is weird because they just, in fact, I'm trying to see if I can find it here. This was the most recent miniseries that they did. It was a 5-issue miniseries. And as you can see, it's Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yep. So they haven't really shied away from it, nor have they decided to call him Nomad or, some of the other names that have been out there, in the comic book history, not in MCU history. I mean, I suppose they could go with White Wolf. I mean, I don't know. I guess I understand the history, the dark history that is tied into the Winter Soldier name. But I mean, it's actually a pretty cool name. So, I mean, maybe he could try to do that to rehabilitate the name, put some respect on it. I mean, finally, and to atone for the crimes, the things that he did. I mean, even though he did cross off all the names in the notebook or whatever, but still, I mean,
it was a great role for him, a great character, and maybe there is a way to sort of humanize and just I'm going to make the Winter Soldier use the scare of it, but still make it own it finally, control it, and be what it should be.
Well,
but it was never
think of it this way too. Think of it this way too. I mean, he could use the name Winter Soldier as like Batman does with like his name. I mean, because when you hear Batman, I mean, it inspires fear in criminals. Yep. So Winter Soldier, I mean, remember the I think it was Black Widow. I think she's the one that told Steve about a Winter Soldier and how he was like, a phantom and stuff like that, and how he, his history essentially, like how he was one of the greatest assassins. I mean, you still have that reputation. So he might be a good guy. We might know he's good.
When he showed up to Madripoor, is it Madripoor? When he shows up there, they were all already like, "Oh, you know who this is." Everyone sort of did fear him and went, "What interesting." Exactly. So it's interesting, but it's just so I'm not crazy. Even though it seems in the show like he doesn't want to be the Winter Soldier anymore. He even goes to the parent at the end and is like, it wasn't me, it was the Winter Soldier. The comics haven't really addressed that either. Is what the answer is.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So then, all right. So moving then to the next topic of where can this go? I mean, is your assumption also that they would keep Sam Wilson as Cap? I mean, that's a pretty. You're about to tell us this has been in the comics. He's had a run himself. That would make sense, correct?
Yes, but the way Sam came about as being Captain America in the comics was that Steve went to another dimension. And I don't remember exactly who it was that he fought or what he did. So he either sucked out the super soldier serum out of Steve, or he repressed the super soldier serum, and that caused Steve to age. So when Steve came back to 616, the regular dimension, he was old and he decided to work for S.H.I.E.L.D. And he said, since there has to be a Captain America, he said Sam would be the new Cap. Now he was Cap for a while, but he's now Falcon again. And Steve is young again, because I guess in late 2015, 2016, Marvel realized, oh crap, we're going to be doing Civil War. And in Civil War, Cap looks like Chris Evans. So right now he looks like Chris Evans, like great-great-grandfather. So we got to figure out a way to get him back to that young age. So they came up with an event, which the name of which escapes me right now, but it all had to center around a cosmic cube that had become a sentient little girl. And what she did was like she created, it was almost like WandaVision-esque. She created a town where like the Avengers were there and everything was like, Stepford Whitefish and stuff like that, But at the end of it, it resulted in Steve being de-aged back again to his Chris Evans.
So if anybody ever has a problem with the plot lines of these Marvel movies being silly, they got to remember the comics go way crazier to keep things going.
and Andy, the other thing that came out of this is while all of this was happening, the Red Skull, unbeknownst to anybody, was basically acting as a grandfathery type to the sentient cosmic cube and having the cosmic cube tweak Steve Rogers' past history to make him an agent of Hydra. And that's where Secret Empire came out of. And that's where everybody lost their collective minds when Cap threw somebody out of a helicopter and said, "Hail Hydra."
Right, that was the big moment where how could you do that? Some fans liked it, right? Some fans liked the twist, but a lot of fans did not like the twist. They just didn't buy it.
I mean, death threats. The editor and the writer both got death threats.
But that's a sign of it worked because it's got a reaction. Yeah. So all right, so that's interesting. So clearly things are different in the comics. So where do you think they're going to go with this? Do you think they can just do a lead Sam movie? I mean, it's weird because the series is sort of the build up to get there, but now it's not a Captain America movie. So they're going to try to have to put him on a bigger adventure and team him up with people. How many do you think they need to team him up with more Avengers, or is there any other part of the run that you could think they could borrow to give him his own sort of standalone story to still connect to the greater universe?
Well, I mean, I think they would. I mean, and not for nothing. I mean, even Steve was teamed up with characters. He wasn't solo, so to speak, except for maybe even in the first Avengers movie. I mean, he had the Howling Commandos with him and stuff. So, I mean, they would have to team up with characters. Hopefully, Winter Soldier. I mean, I do like their bromance, their relationship. It was really good, and it seemed genuine too. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, we're just put together because you're black and I'm white, and that kind of thing.
No, it felt like it was earned over for between Winter Soldier and moving forward. There had been the sort of the back and forth, and this show I feel like finally solidified. All right, I buy it. They're friends now. Okay, I'm okay with that. Yeah,
absolutely. So Bucky would need to be in there. I mean, in some of the issues with when Sam was Cap, you had Misty Knight, you had Werewolf by Night, which was J. Jonah Jameson's son. You had the Serpent Society. You had Baron Zemo was in there. I mean, there are ways that they can go with this.
What about John Walker? Does he show up again? You think he'll be in this? Do you think will he go on his own? Would he go on his own storyline and sort of maybe not cross paths again?
But yeah, in fact, actually, they're in the midst of a 5-issue miniseries for a U.S. agent.
Interesting. So,
and in there, he's not as much of a a dick.
And I mean, it's he's such a fascinating character, U.S. agent, and I'm curious to see where they go. But there's also speculation that they're trying to turn the Contessa and what's going there is maybe a version of the Thunderbolts. It seems to be what a lot of other people are expecting, right? Because that's sort of where things would go.
This was the Thunderbolts with initially it was Baron Zemo and some other villains. They genuinely pretended to be heroes because Zemo had like an end run what he was trying to do. It wasn't like Dark Avengers, which was something similar where Norman Osborn got a bunch of villains to pretend to be the Avengers. Like it was almost like their villain analogs, like Venom was Spider-Man or whatever. The Thunderbolts, Zemo had a plan. And he got a bunch of 5 other no name. I mean, these were like lower tier villains, to be in the group. So it wasn't even like a Suicide Squad-esque group either. I heard like some comparisons to that. Thunderbolts was nothing like the Suicide Squad.
So could that be an interesting way to sort of tie in the movie of we maybe get the Thunderbolts built and now Cap has to go take them down and sort of beat the opposing Avengers?
Yeah, that would be good. I mean, if they could even do maybe a Thunderbolts series where, they take one episode's focus on one member of the team and then have the climax or the culmination be a movie. You know what I mean? And that would like do the synergy between getting subscribers to subscribe to Disney Plus to see the show, which would be the prelude, and then have the climax of it in the theaters or something,
And you had brought up that you have it there in front of you too, but the complete collection of the Sam Wilson Captain America run. So this is what you were talking about. He comes back, he's old, and so it's hard to borrow from these comics, given the fact that Steve Rogers is in them and sort of has been away, comes back. Do you think they need Chris Evans in this movie to work?
I mean, as a comic book fan and an MCU fan, I mean, it would be nice to do that because honestly, last night when Sam was at the museum. There was something in the back. I'm like, Chris Evans going to show up. Please let him show up. And he didn't. It was just, he showed him the statue or whatever. So,
I mean, that would have been amazing if they had Chris Evans there in the old makeup and just thank you for your service and the handshake.
Yes.
Would have been, oh my God, it would have made it. But yeah,
yes.
The fact that they didn't do that tells me he's out. I don't think they're going to keep bringing him back as old Cap.
Yeah. I mean, like in this series, I mean, he was in it, but I mean, he wasn't integral to it because again, he was working with S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time. So, and S.H.I.E.L.D. was an actual thing. It wasn't demolished by, the events of Winter Soldier and stuff. So,
well, it's sad too because they could have cast somebody to play old Chris Evans. They could have done it. Usually it's the other way around, but they could have, and then they could have kept that person, locked him in for a few movies. Robert Duvall or somebody to be a super old version of Chris Evans could have worked, and then they would have had that keep going. So the fact that they don't tells them the fact you're right. That scene would have been so even would have been a nice little surprise. But the fact that they weren't able to do that to me seems like, well, why? He's not going to keep coming back for this. He wants to move on. Especially, I'm sure he's not going to come back and keep putting on prosthetic makeup on his face. So I don't know. So it's interesting. So basically, we don't know. We're in new territory now, is what the bottom line is. It sounds like from a comics perspective. Yeah, there's probably little things they could borrow, Thunderbolts, and etc. But you're telling me it's not. There's no clear run of like Sam Wilson. Like, oh well, this is the obvious traction of the place you'd go next.
Right. I mean, it's open. I mean, they do have One Piece with Zemo in the raft, and Ross is a frequent supervisor in the raft. So I mean, that could be a way to get to the Thunderbolts, because the Thunderbolts, this team here wasn't the only team. I mean, the last iteration I believe had Elektra and the Punisher on there. So I mean, it's like there have been different versions of the Thunderbolts. In fact, there was another version that came out during the recent King in Black miniseries, which had to do with Carnage and Venom. I mean, not Carnage, sorry, Null and Venom and Spider-Man and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's open. I mean, they have an entire playground that they can just pick whatever toys they want and bring them in. And that's one of the things I like about Marvel is they do that. And most times they do it successfully.
Right, and they're really pulling from the archives, and they're pulling everybody. So the fact that these you're saying the low-tier Thunderbolts characters could end up becoming A-list characters thanks to the MCU, who knows? But what's interesting is, it seems the next thing is going to have to be separate versions of team-ups, because who's really the Avengers right now? We were talking about that last night as we were doing our watch party of who. And then I know they're trying to build up, it seems, the Young Avengers is clearly on deck with all the characters that are on deck coming in. So it'll be interesting to see. So I like your idea of, do they have multiple different groups try to step up to become the Avengers to then lead into some sort of cooler team ups or verses or whatever, gives them so many more opportunities down the line. Is that where you want to see it go to?
Yeah, I would like that. And also, I'm hoping against hope. I mean, all of this will lead to like maybe a Secret Wars esque type of Endgame movie, sort of, maybe in the next 10 years or something. Where they could have Chris Evans, even Robert Downey Jr. Because I saw an interview in 2020 where he said that and of course this is while he was doing press for Doolittle, but he's like, hey, anything can happen. He's like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm done with it, and he put it to rest or something like that. But you never know. So that's not closing the door, but it's not really saying, hey,
right. And so Secret Invasion, which they're doing, could be just a smaller version. There's still Secret Wars. They could save that as a big finale to continue to go to. Correct?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm surprised, but not surprised that Secret Invasion is going to be on TV, because Secret Invasion was a really large scoped event, and I understand why they did it on TV, because similar to like Moon Knight, you really can't tell that story in 2 hours, but the scope of it, the cinematicness of it should be in the big screen. So maybe if they adopt the thing, like, we're going to start Secret Invasion on screen and then take it to the big screen for the finale or the climax or whatever. I mean, like, it's a shame that people don't have 50-yard screens or whatever that they can watch all the stuff on.
Because, it's also going to be fascinating to see how this works as they continue to make these shows be required viewing for the MCU. Will that end up being a detriment, or will that be, make people get Disney Plus and watch more of their content? We shall see. Fascinating breakdown, and thank you so much for coming, guys. If you're in Bridgeport, Connecticut, go on over to Rogue Comics and support Mike. He's right there. He might be streaming with me someday while we're live, so you never know. So go check it out. Thank you, Mike, for being here. And guys, if you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Tell us what you think down below. What do you want to see? Do you like this idea? I want to hear all your thoughts. Leave your comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to check out my review, which is right there. I don't know where the audio went. It should be there. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for more here on Popcorn the Planet.